This is my milling machine. I've had it for a few years. It's a Lagun Ftv-3 Bridgeport clone. And as far as lighting goes, I just bought this kind of cheap LED sewing machine light is what it is off Amazon. You see it's got a magnet. About 10 bucks. And the swivels, you can point it wherever you want. You can stick it wherever you want. And I really liked it, and I'll probably continue to use it. But about a month ago, a picture like this popped up on my Facebook feed, and I haven't been able to stop thinking about it since. And here's another one. It's a ring light offering from eBay, and it's obviously for some kind of mini mill. It's 80 millimeters. It's not going to fit my milling machine, so I ordered these. Just the ordinary angel eye style halos that you buy aftermarket to fit on your car or your ATV or whatever. And here's the label. They come two in a package. They look just like this, so you'll have two chances. First thing I did was start drawing this up in Fusion 360 so I could 3D print it. It's really pretty simple. A place for a rocker switch, and then that cap just is a separate piece that I'll print separate. And it has a square hole in the end for one of these, and it's just a power socket that I have left over from fixing a friend's vocal processor several years ago. Here's some on Amazon, and here we'll switch over to eBay, and you can see that there are usually measurements so that you can tell what size the socket and the pin are. I also have a surplus of these kind of power supplies. This one's probably from a security camera or who knows what, but it's 12 volts, which is what the ring light requires, and this just happens to fit the socket that I also have a surplus of. This is my artillery sidewinder 3D printer making the first piece, and these are some stills of the housing itself and the end cap. So here's the ring, and the first thing I'm going to do is clip off these little tabs. And I'm going to snip the harness off because I need to condense all this wiring to inside of my housing. Then I'm going to peel the paper off the adhesive that comes on the angel eye LED and feed the wires through the housing. Ended up getting some needle-nose pliers, pulling them out through the switch hole. And then it was pretty snug trying to press the ring into the housing. I could have 3D printed this a little bit looser. This took some effort, but it worked just fine. And eventually I got it in there and pressed into the adhesive. Next I took a tiny screwdriver and popped open this inline housing. And it houses this tiny circuit board. It's like a voltage regulator. Here it is out of focus. I'm just putting down a scrap of plywood so I don't melt my tablecloth with the soldering iron. And I'm going to desolder the leads from this tiny circuit board. I just desolder the wires from the input side of the board and throw that scrap of harness away. And then the wires from the ring light I'll solder directly back onto the board. And it's tough to do because everything here is tiny and my hands shake. Probably should have had some scotch. And then just slide a big piece of heat shrink down over the board to keep that board from shorting out when we stuff it back into this housing. And this is my cigar lighter. And I'm just going to snip off the rest of this harness and set it aside. We'll use the red wires in a minute to hook up the switch. Here I am just tinning the terminals on the switch. I've already cut some heat shrink tubing, you can see. And I'm just putting the switch in series with the power socket here. Power socket will go on next. So here's the red wire that we just talked about that's going to go from the switch to the power socket. And just shrink on down with my cigar lighter. Then I'm just going to press the switch into the housing. And it just snaps right in. And now I'm just soldering the black and red wire onto the power socket. Shrink those wires down. And then I'll just press it into the square hole here in the cap. And I'm not gluing anything, friction just holds this all together. So I can take it apart again if I have a problem. And then just press the cap into the housing. Now we're ready to test this baby out. So I just have this extension cord that drops down from the ceiling here in my shop, and plug my power supply in. Eureka! I'm a little bit off frame here, but that's okay. And here I am using my CO2 laser to cut out a piece of this adhesive. It's 3M9474LE double-sided adhesive. It's the good stuff. Once you cut it with the laser, it's not super easy to peel the backing off, so I spared you that. But it's tough stuff, it's holding strong. And I've already cleaned this mill, you know, with brake clean and let it dry so that I don't have any trouble with the adhesive. And I just stuck it right on, and you can see my quill moves just fine. I did that pretty carefully. I don't want it rubbing the quill. Then I'm going to plug in my power supply, and Bob's your uncle. I'm just going to turn the light on and turn my spindle on and run the quill up and down and make sure there's not any problems. And there you have it. Hope you enjoyed watching.